How's it going, everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and this is the Weekly Fix, the show where we round up all the gaming and entertainment headlines you may have missed this week. Alright, so this is going to be a big one because not only did we get news on a live-action Zelda movie, but we also got an actual confirmation from Rockstar that GTA 6 is finally real. While we all knew it was in development thanks to a leak last year, Rockstar has been pretty quiet about the game's existence until now. We've also got everything you need to know about the Legend of Zelda live-action movie, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and an update on a little-known game called Fortnite. I don't know, you might have heard of it. We've got a lot to cover, so without wasting any more time, let's get to the news. Rockstar Games heard our wishes, and we're finally getting a trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto game. It's GTA 6, but Rockstar has not addressed the next game by that title. In a post on the Rockstar Newswire, the developer shared that they are very excited to finally debut GTA 6. The exact wording that avoids the title GTA 6 said, "We are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto. We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with all of you." The 25th anniversary of Rockstar is sometime next month in December as well, so it's entirely possible the trailer could be released then. The foundation date for Rockstar only states December 1998, however. Another speculation from fans is that the trailer could drop during the Game Awards on December 7th. Rockstar has not confirmed it'll be at the event, but it wouldn't be the most absurd thing to witness at the Game Awards. Unfortunately, we don't have any other details on the next GTA, but a release window between April 2024 and March 2025 was speculated based on publisher Take-Two Interactive's projected financial gains during that fiscal year, which honestly is a pretty good guess as to when we should expect GTA 6 to drop. But I'm gonna wait for any official news before I drop any expectations. Nintendo has had some pretty big announcements this week, and hot on the trail of yesterday's bombshell announcement that a live-action Zelda feature film is in the works, the company revealed that Super Mario Wonder sold 4.3 million copies since its release on October 20th, which makes it the fastest-selling entry in the series to date. Okay, probably. Nintendo's data is limited to games released on the Wii and DS onwards, but considering the Switch's massive install base at the time of Wonder's release, it seems unlikely any of the earlier installments flew off the shelves quite as fast. Bear in mind, a lot of the most beloved Mario games were launch titles for equally beloved Nintendo systems. Games like Super Mario World and Super Mario 64 definitely sold well in the long run, but it's easier to sell a new game for a console people already own than a new console entirely. There are over 130 million Switch consoles in the wild, so it's not that surprising that a few million of them didn't hesitate to scoop up Mario's latest adventure day one. It also probably doesn't hurt that these days you can buy the latest Mario game by preloading it on the eShop, which is way easier than getting your mom to drive you to the mall to pick up a copy from Babbage's, which I just learned about literally in this instance because I've never heard of that store. I only know GameStop. Obviously, this is wonderful news for Nintendo. See what I did there? Anyways, remember when people thought the Wii U would be the death of them? Look at them now. Anyways, speaking of getting murdered by children's playthings, Dead by Daylight has announced the newest killer to join the fun, everyone's favorite murderous, not-so-good guy doll, Chucky. Chucky's small size will give him an advantage when sneaking around. He'll be able to scamper through small spaces and also perform a slice and dice move that allows him to lunge at victims, rapidly closing the distance. He'll also have assistance from his human form, Charles Lee Ray, in spirit form, of course. Longtime Chucky voice actor Brad Dourif will reprise the role yet again, and Tiffany Stans, worry not. By switching into the good gal outfit, the bride of Chucky will also be playable. She'll presumably share the same abilities as her ex-husband, but will feature the unmistakable voice of Jennifer Tilly. Chucky and Tiffany will be available in Dead by Daylight November 28th, just in time for Halloween. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong month. Week after Thanksgiving. Whatever, same difference.
Nintendo is finally making a live-action Legend of Zelda movie after years of hopes and months of rumors. The news was shared today in an official post to Nintendo investors with few details. The film is being produced by Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto and Avi Arad, former founder and CEO of Marvel Studios. Arid has been credited as a producer on numerous successful films over the years, most recently including Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, No Way Home, Far From Home, and Homecoming. He's also worked on upcoming films including Kraven the Hunter and the Borderlands movie. And the Maze Runner director Wes Ball is set to direct, and Sony Pictures Entertainment will handle theatrical distribution in addition to co-financing the movie with Nintendo. Yes, the Zelda movie will be co-financed and distributed by Sony. Though the press release indicates that development is just beginning, in a post on Twitter today, Miyamoto indicated that the project has been in the works in some form for many years now. Miyamoto wrote, "I have asked Avi-san to produce this film with me, and we have now officially started the development of the film with Nintendo itself heavily involved in the production. It will take time until its completion, but I hope you look forward to seeing it." Earlier this year, rumors swirled that a live-action Zelda movie was in the works, but the word on the Hyrule Street was that Universal was involved, or perhaps Illumination, rather than Sony. The rumors were fueled by the Tears of the Kingdom developers themselves, who expressed that they were interested in making a Zelda movie after the success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie earlier this year. However, as Eiji Aonuma said at the time, "It's not just me being interested in something that makes things happen, unfortunately." A Netflix series was also reportedly canceled after information about it leaked on the internet. Now, unlike the Mario movie, the Zelda film will be live action, meaning casting characters such as Link, Zelda, Ganon, and others will take on an entirely new dimension. The Super Mario Bros. Movie, while well received, did undergo pre-release criticisms of the decision to cast Chris Pratt as Mario, and a Zelda film would presumably be held up to similar fan scrutiny, even if Link remains a silent protagonist as in the games. Initial fan reactions seem to be disappointed that it's not animated, given the enormous success of this year's Mario Bros. Movie. But hopefully, Miyamoto-san knows what he's doing. It's likely quite a ways off, but we will be following the Zelda film closely here at IGN. Poor Modern Warfare 3. No, not the new one, the original one from 2011. It's getting review bombed by angry Call of Duty fans who seem a bit confused about which Call of Duty is which. The backlash mostly stems from the early access launch of the new Modern Warfare 3 single-player campaign, which has received a largely negative reaction. IGN gave it a 4 out of 10 and said, "Underbaked, rehashed, and cobbled together from multiplayer parts, Modern Warfare 3's single-player campaign is everything a Call of Duty story mode shouldn't be." It doesn't help that Activision has decided to launch Modern Warfare 3 as a game tied to Call of Duty HQ, a new hub that appears to have replaced last year's Modern Warfare 2. This has resulted in even bigger file sizes and longer waits to get into the game, and reinforced the sentiment that Modern Warfare 3 is little more than Modern Warfare 2 DLC positioned as a mainline sequel. Remarkably, the PlayStation 5 version of Modern Warfare 3 doesn't have a Platinum trophy either. Of course, this year's Call of Duty release was planned as an expansion for Modern Warfare 2 until February of this year. Previous reports last year stated that plans for Call of Duty in 2023 would be an experimental phase for the franchise, focusing on a high-end expansion for Modern Warfare 2. And in the end result, it seems to be very obvious that Modern Warfare 3 was originally not a full game. In all the backlash to Modern Warfare 3's campaign, some people are taking their anger out on the wrong game. People are leaving negative user reviews clearly aimed at the new Modern Warfare 3, but posted to the Metacritic page for the 12-year-old Modern Warfare 3 by mistake. Metacritic confirmed to IGN it was in the process of removing these user reviews. Metacritic boss Mark Doyle told IGN, "Generally, yes, if someone reviews one game thinking they're reviewing another, we'll moderate that review." But at the time of this video's taping, the Metacritic page for Modern Warfare 3 2011 has a user score of just 3.6 against a critic Metascore of 88. It appears to be the opposite situation over on Steam, where users are leaving new and positive reviews for Modern Warfare 3 2011 to make a point that it's better than 2023's effort. Activision's decision to release new Modern Warfare games with the same names as old Modern Warfare games shows how ridiculous video game titles can get. But it's worth pointing out, it's not yet possible to leave a user review for Modern Warfare 3 2023 on either Metacritic or Steam, since the game has yet to fully launch. No doubt, Activision is bracing itself for the backlash to flood onto the right Call of Duty review pages when the game is officially out. Moving on, Ubisoft has laid off 124 individuals today in an effort, quote, "to streamline our operations and enhance our collective efficiency." In a release this morning, Ubisoft confirmed that it was reorganizing its Canadian studios in a move that has impacted a total of 124 positions, 98 of which were based in Canada, roughly 2% of its Canadian workforce. Per Ubisoft, those laid off came from the business administrative services and IT teams, both across the Hybrid VFX studio in Montreal and the global IT team. The company said, "These are not decisions taken lightly, and we are providing comprehensive support for our colleagues who will be leaving Ubisoft during this transition. We also want to share our utmost gratitude and respect for their many contributions to the company. This restructuring does not affect our production teams." Ubisoft has already undergone multiple rounds of layoffs this year, including the closure of mobile studio Ubisoft London and a wave of customer service layoffs back in May. It's also canceled multiple projects this year and significantly delayed others, such as the repeatedly pushed back Skull and Bones. Ubisoft's most recent earnings report included quarterly net bookings of $584 million, up 36.6% year over year, with a record launch reported for the Crew Motorfest. Today's layoffs at Ubisoft continue an ongoing wave of mass industry layoffs that have impacted thousands of jobs in the last year and change. Recent companies that have initiated such reductions include Bungie, Epic Games, Telltale Games, Team 17, CD Projekt, and numerous Embracer Group properties, including the shutdown of Saints Row reboot developer Volition. And finally today, Konami's unannounced but all but confirmed Silent Hill game The Short Message has leaked once again after the Australian ratings board revealed a synopsis. As reported by Eurogamer, the Australian Classification Board's annual report reveals some of the central themes and story details of The Short Message, despite Konami not having revealed it yet. The game was initially leaked by South Korea's ratings board in September last year. According to the report, The Short Message is an exploration-based psychological horror game in which players control characters in an apartment building called the Villa in modern-day Germany. The player assumes the role of a young woman, Anita, who must explore the villa through first-person gameplay in order to collect clues and uncover what has happened to her friend. The ratings board granted it an MA 15+ rating. This means it's legally restricted to people over the age of 15 for having a strong impact, but doesn't receive the high-impact MA 18+ rating. Konami is bringing Silent Hill back with a vengeance after not releasing a single game in the series since 2012. It announced 4 new games in October 2022, including the highly anticipated Silent Hill 2 remake, a new spin-off called Townfall, another called Silent Hill F, and the community-based choose-your-own-adventure game Silent Hill Ascension. The Silent Hill resurgence isn't off to a particularly hot start, however, after Ascension was slammed by fans for being laden with microtransactions when it launched on October 31st.
Fortnite has seen a huge surge in players with the launch of its OG update that brings back the original Battle Royale map. According to an unofficial but reliable website, Fortnite.gg, Fortnite has a 24-hour peak of 3.9 million concurrent players, compared to the roughly 2 million concurrent players it held for most of September and October. Its previous highest peak arrived alongside Chapter 4 Season 4 in August, which rose to 2.8 million players. The OG update arrived November 2nd and let players return to the beloved Fortnite map that revolutionized Battle Royale games and perhaps video games as a whole. This means players can once again visit locations such as Tilted Towers, Paradise Palms, Salty Springs, and more, like Tomato Town, my favorite. The movement evolutions Fortnite has made since Chapter 1, like sprinting and mantling, still remain. Publisher Epic Games returning to Fortnite's roots when the game was at its peak popularity perhaps isn't surprising, given the company's recent financial struggles that forced it to lay off 830 employees. CEO Tim Sweeney even admitted in an internal memo that, quote, "While Fortnite is starting to grow again, the growth is driven primarily by creator content with significant revenue sharing. And this is a lower margin business than we had when Fortnite Battle Royale took off and began funding our expansion," end quote. Fortnite's OG update will last as long as the current season, which generally runs for about 50 to 70 days. The original map will presumably be removed from the game when the season ends, though Epic may reconsider giving the renewed popularity. IGN has asked the publisher for comment.
It's about time for a quick break, but when we come back, we're looking at the latest on Marvel's Spider-Man games, a big change on The Simpsons, and the surprise success of Five Nights at Freddy's. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Even though Five Nights at Freddy's released to less than favorable reviews, the video game turned movie lit up the box office and broke a ton of records. We've got everything about the director's reaction to that, as well as a major change in The Simpsons. But before that, let's see what's going on with the future of Insomniac's Spider-Man series.
Marvel's Spider-Man 2 released October 20th, and already fans have been asking about the future of their beloved web-slinging superhero. Gizmodo asked Insomniac's narrative director Ben Arfman and advanced writer Brittany Morris about the ending of Spider-Man 2. So if you don't want spoilers on the ending of Spider-Man 2, this is your warning to look away and also cover your ears. Ready? All right, let's get to it. In one of the final cutscenes, there's a passing of the torch between Miles Morales and Peter Parker. The younger wall crawler tells his mentor to go be Peter Parker for a while, and that he'd keep watch over the city on his own. It's heavily implied this makes Miles the one and only Spider-Man for the immediate future, but in case there was any doubt, this should clear it up. When Arfman and Morris were asked about if they knew Miles was always going to be the main Spider-Man going forward, Morris replied, "It always felt very natural, and I think we all collectively thought it would happen." To me, it shows a great deal of evolution from Miles. At the beginning of the game, we see him struggling to figure out what he wants to do with his life. By the end, we had Miles carrying the burden of saving the city and also carrying Pete when Pete wasn't strong enough to carry himself at various points. That's what's been so cool about writing a story about two Spider-Men. They're both strong, and one of them can be strong when the other is not. By the end, Miles is more confident, and he's like, yeah, I got this. How much worse can things get after what we just went through? Spider-Man fans are speculating on whether or not we might get another Miles Morales spin-off next, or potentially a Venom spin-off that Insomniac did express they weren't against making. And let's not forget about that Wolverine game being developed by another team within Insomniac. That's been confirmed to be in the same universe as the Spider-Man games. But as far as Spider-Man games go, fans are worried that Insomniac will kill off Peter Parker in the next game to solidify Miles as the one Spider-Man. I definitely think that's a bit extreme, but whatever Insomniac has planned, we won't see for a while. 6 months ago, The Last of Us multiplayer was reportedly hit with setbacks, and Sony questioned whether or not it would have long-term viability, which had some fans speculating if it was still in development at all. But according to its game director, it's still in the works. As reported by Eurogamer, Naughty Dog's Vineet Agarwal posted on X about finishing Super Mario Bros. Wonder with a very short update tagged on the end. The post reads, "I did it! Wow, that was hard. Easily 300 plus Marios dead in the process. And so this tweet can live on in peace. Yes, I'm still working on that game." Even though Agarwal didn't refer specifically to The Last of Us multiplayer, it's fairly clear what he's pointing towards. From Naughty Dog's previous statements, it sounded like the project could be on hold indefinitely, but this suggests otherwise. If the director has time to 100% Mario, it definitely doesn't seem like he's in the middle of a heavy crunch, but it's nice to hear the lights are still on. It's been 2 years since The Last of Us multiplayer project was announced, and since then, all we've seen from it are 2 pieces of concept art. So it's not much to go on, but Agarwal's statement is hopeful at least. Here's to waiting to see if Sony or Naughty Dog says anything official to back his statement. I honestly just want to get an update on the multiplayer soon. Finally, pun intended, last week the new competitive FPS, The Finals, had a great open beta period. On the game's official X account, The Finals posted that the beta is now over, but that a whopping 7.5 million players participated. They also went on to say, now it's time for us to hunker down and get back to work on all the fixes and improvements you helped us identify. Despite having a great open beta window, no actual release date was announced after this week. The Finals is a first-person shooter created by Embark Studios comprised of ex-DICE developers who worked on the Battlefield series. It's free to play, and the most unique aspect about it is that almost everything in its environment can be destroyed. I previewed the game in the first closed beta of The Finals, and it was fine. The bones of a good FPS game are there, and it's a fairly straightforward shooter with no frills or outrageous movement tech that makes it difficult to get into like Apex or Fortnite. But when I played, I found myself getting pretty bored of the 3 game modes they had available in the beta. There also wasn't really too much variation in each match to make playing the finals for over an hour very interesting. At least with normal Battle Royale games, you have some differences in each match to keep you wanting to play or get lucky or get a different outcome. Also, since the first beta, I noticed that none of the weapons or abilities were really balanced at all after the feedback given. The healing beam is still way too strong on the medium builds, and the small builds are extremely overpowered once you unlock the silenced pistol or any melee weapons. Hopefully, Embark plans on focusing on weapon and ability balancing to make the game more fun and replayable for its official launch, whenever that is.
Five Nights at Freddy's is doing well, like insanely well, both at the box office and on streaming. As of this week, Five Nights at Freddy's has brought in over $153 million at the box office worldwide, with $92 million of that coming from North America. As if that wasn't enough, Freddy also had the biggest 5-day debut on Peacock as well. Commenting on the movie's success, the game's creator, Scott Cawthon, posted on Reddit saying, quote, "Thanks everyone for making opening weekend such a big success. It was beyond my wildest dreams. I do read the comments and critiques, so while I'm glad most people had a great time at the movies, I am definitely paying attention, and I wanted you all to know that." It's great to see that Cawthon is listening to the critical feedback on the film. While the movie is absolutely crushing by pretty much every financial metric, the critical side of things left much to be desired. IGN gave the movie a 4 out of 10, saying, quote, "Scott Cawthon helped produce this big screen adaptation of his own indie horror phenomenon, but you wouldn't really guess as much. Expanding the game's simple, primal premise with a surfeit of character melodrama, at last we learn the tragic backstory of the security guard Mike Schmidt. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's that labors under the bizarre assumption that the loyal fanbase wants a lot of extraneous plot surrounding the fun center horror. Switch off the monitor, slam the door, or just play the game instead." Blumhouse Productions dropped $20 million adapting Five Nights at Freddy's to the silver screen, and clearly it's paying off. The film had the biggest opening for a horror movie this year, beating Scream 6 and The Nun 2. And it was also the second biggest video game adaptation of the year, behind Mario. So obviously there's going to be some kind of sequel. Hopefully Cawthon takes the feedback to heart and delivers a sequel that leans more into the isolating, monitor-scanning horror that made the game so iconic. In other news, it turns out that Nick Cage's Superman cameo in The Flash wasn't anything like what he shot with Andy Muschietti. Talking to Yahoo Entertainment, Cage said, quote, "When I went to the picture, it was me fighting a giant spider. I did not do that. That was not what I did." The cameo heavily relied on CGI, but Cage was on set for his cameo and went on to discuss what he did shoot with Muschietti, saying, quote, "What I was supposed to do was literally just be standing in an alternate dimension, if you will, and witnessing the destruction of the universe. Kal-El was bearing witness to the end of a universe, and you can imagine with that short amount of time that I had, what that would mean in terms of what I can convey. I had no dialogue, so I had to convey with my eyes the emotion, so that's what I did. I was on set for maybe 3 hours." Cage's Superman cameo was one of the more unexpected appearances in The Flash. It was a callback to an unmade 90s Superman reboot where, at the insistence of the film producer John Peters, the Man of Steel would have fought a giant spider in the final act. Not sure why. Superman Lives was supposed to be helmed by Tim Burton, starring Nick Cage as Clark Kent himself. It got decently far into pre-production, to the point where they actually shot some test footage of Cage trying on the suit. But alas, the film was never meant to be. And finally, Max, formerly HBO Max, is making some adjustments to the pricing tiers of its streaming service, which more or less acts just as a price hike. The current ad-free plan, which costs $15.99 per month, features HD streaming with 4K HDR with Dolby Atmos on available titles, the ability to stream on 3 devices at once, and download up to 30 titles for offline use. That plan will still cost $15.99, but will be downgraded to only feature HD streams on 2 devices at once. If you still want to stream shows like The Last of Us and House of the Dragon in 4K, you'll need to pony up either $19.99 per month or $199.99 for the year for Max's new Ultimate Ad-Free tier, which also comes with the ability to stream on 4 devices at once and download up to 100 titles for offline use. This is just the latest in this year's streaming service price hikes. It seems that no service is immune to the hikes, with Netflix, Disney, Paramount, and Amazon changing their pricing structures to get more users into ad-supported tiers, or for current users to pay more for features like 4K streams and ad-free access.
Now, looks like Homer's apparently losing one of his iconic catchphrases usually uttered upon strangling Bart. Now, I'm of course talking about the sentence he never seems to finish.
You little...
Now, being so fueled with rage, he'd simply wrap his hands around Bart's neck. But after 34 years, the creators of The Simpsons have decided to retire the sight gag, with Homer addressing it himself in episode 3 of season 35.
Whoa, that's quite a grip.
See, Marge? Strangling the boy has paid off. Just kidding, I don't do that anymore. Times have changed.
Now, times really have changed, as the last time we saw Homer's hands firmly wrapped around Bart's neck was back in season 31. Now, in fact, Homer was taught a lesson back when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar guest starred in an episode back in 2011, where he planted his massive NBA hands around Homer's neck to show him the damage he's been doing to the boy.
Why, you little...
I don't want to hurt him, Doc.
You have a good heart, Kareem, which is why you're the only Laker I could trust with this task.
Now, it should come as no surprise that The Simpsons have decided to move away from such violence, as society has indeed evolved in a way where such depictions are often looked at negatively in today's current climate. Now, that's not all that's changed. The Simpsons got its start as an edgy cartoon for adults on Fox Network, but now it's under Disney's considerably more family-friendly roof. Now, sure, it can be argued that it's just a cartoon and shouldn't be taken so seriously, but when you're facing public backlash from newer fans who are providing criticism, well, you might want to take a look at what once was a trope or throwaway gag and see if it currently serves you. Now, The Simpsons has been conscious of its critics in recent years, adjusting where it sees fit. For example, the 2017 documentary The Problem with Apu shined a light on the Quickie Mart proprietor and the stereotype the character displayed of those from South Asia. Now, Hank Azaria, while still a voice actor for numerous other Simpsons characters, decided to step down as the voice of Apu. Now, since then, Apu's only appeared as a background character in The Simpsons. Now, I personally loved Apu and the whole strangling bit, but we're living in different times now. We're living in a time where Elmer Fudd can no longer chase Bugs Bunny with a rifle, trading it in for a scythe in the latest iteration of the Looney Tunes on Max. Now, it honestly isn't that big of a deal to me personally, but I do notice these things, and I'm pretty sure y'all do as well. And I'm kind of curious, how do y'all feel about all of this? Are you glad that Homer found other ways of taking out his anger towards Bart, giving the boy's neck a rest, or do you miss the unhinged actions of Homer towards his son? Let's talk about it down below.
I'm Stella Chung, and that was your weekly fix. We'll be back here next Saturday with more of the biggest gaming and entertainment news. See you then!